Hey everybody, we're getting close to Christmas, so I have another Christmas story to share. If your family is like ours, you've probably already watched your share of Christmas movies already, and every family probably has their favorites. And certainly in our family, every year at some point we watch It's a Wonderful Life, a great story where the main character, George Bailey, gets to experience what life would have been on the earth without him. What his little town would have been like if he had never been born. And that movie came out in 1946. And I found a short story that came out in 1938, written by Nan F. And same kind of theme to this story. It's entitled, If He Had Not Come. I found it in a book called The Moral of the Story. It's just a collection of short stories for those of you who like short stories. But let's read this, just have a few comments afterwards. I'm sure it'll bless you if you stick with us. It was Christmas Eve, and after Bobby had carefully hung his stocking by the fireplace, he went off to bed. Now, usually Bobby did not like to go to bed early, but tonight he was eager to get to sleep so as to be sure to wake up early to see his gifts. For their daily Bible lesson that day, Bobby and his father had read Jesus' own words to his friends found in John 15:22. 5 words had stayed in Bobby's mind, and he kept saying them over and over again until he fell asleep. They were the words, "If I had not come." It seemed as if he had not been asleep any time when a cross, harsh voice said, "Get up! Get up, I tell you, it's time to get up." Thinking about the skates he wanted and the flashlight and the books he had been wishing for, Bobby got up and hurried into his clothes and went downstairs. But all was still. No one was there to greet him. No stocking hung by the fireplace. No wreaths were in the window. No splendid tree was there. Hurrying to the door, Bobby looked down the street. The factory was open, and he could hear the rumble of the machinery. He grabbed his cotton sweater and raced down the street to the factory door. And there stood a grim-looking foreman. "What's the factory running for on Christmas?" asked Bobby. "Christmas?" asked the man. "What do you mean? I've never heard of this word. This is one of our busy days, so you clear out of here." Filled with wonder, Bobby hurried down the street toward the stores, and to his amazement, he found them all open. The grocer, the dry goods man, the baker, each one was busy and cross, and each said in reply to his question about Christmas, "Christmas? What's Christmas?" When Bobby tried to explain it's Jesus' birthday, and that the first part of the word Christmas means Jesus, he was gruffly ordered to move along, as this was a very, very busy day. Going around the corner, he thought, "I'll go to church, our own church, for there's to be a Christmas service there." All at once, Bobby stopped short before a big vacant field, and he mumbled to himself, "I guess I'm lost. I was certain our church was here. I know it was." And then he noticed a signboard in the center of the big vacant lot, and on going nearer to it, he read the words, "If I had not come." Suddenly, the meaning of it all dawned on the puzzled boy, and he said, "Oh, I know. If I had not come, that's why there's no Christmas, nor any church." He was wandering along in a gloomy way when he thought of the box of toys and games his class had sent to the orphan's home. And he said half aloud, "I guess I'll go to the home and see the children get their presents." But when Bobby reached the place, instead of seeing the name of the home over the gateway, he read these same 5 words, "If I had not come." And beyond the archway, there was no fine building, Seeing an old man, feeble and ill, by the roadside, Bobby said, "I guess you're sick, mister. I'll run to the hospital and tell them to send an ambulance to you." But when he reached the grounds, no splendid building was to be seen, nothing but signs and posters bearing the words, "If I had not come." As Bobby hurried back to the corner where the rescue mission had been, he said, "I'm sure they'll take the poor man in there." But men with angry faces were gambling and swearing, and over the door Bobby saw, instead of the name of the mission, the same words, "If I had not come." Thinking still about the poor man, Bobby hurried home to ask his father and mother to help him. And on his way across the living room, he stopped to look up in the Bible those 5 words, "If I had not come." Turning past the pages of the Old Testament, he found that there was no new part. After Malachi, all the pages were blank. And as he held them up to the light, on each he could see a faint outline of the words, "If I had not come." With a sigh, Bobby said, "Oh, what a terrible world this is. No Christmas, no churches, no homes for little orphan children, no hospitals, no rescue missions, nothing but jails and gambling houses, police patrols, sickness and wrong." And just then came the sound of bells. The chimes were playing, and Bobby listened, and sure enough, it was his favorite hymn, "Joy to the World, the Lord is come." And then he heard his mother's cheery voice saying, "Merry Christmas, Bobby." Opening his sleeping eyes, and with a joyous bound, Bobby was out of bed, and kneeling down, he said, "Oh Lord Jesus, I thank you that you did come. And I'll show you how thankful I am by always trying to be the kind of boy you want me to be. If he had not come." I think it's appropriate for us to sometimes take the time to think, not just about if Jesus had not come into the world, but if he had not come into our lives. And I love how this story ends, because little Bobby prayed and thanked Jesus that he did come. And he did come. And at a time where there's such apostasy, there's such an attack against Jesus, against the Bible, whether it's real, whether he's real, whether it's just a myth and all make up. It's just funny for me to think that Jesus has always been attacked, discredited. The Bible has always been attacked, discredited. There's been forces out there to render it just a myth, to be discarded and forgotten, but year after year, it never is. Jesus, his message, the evidence, the proof that he did come is all around us. I've been to a lot of countries, been to a lot of places, and everywhere I go, I find churches, I find hospitals, I find ministries doing good things throughout the world, doing the work of Jesus. Let's remember that he did come and be grateful for it, because if he hadn't, the world would be much different. And thinking about that, let's go forth and do good works. I hope you have a great Christmas. God bless.